200 years ago, Earth was dying. A strange sickness came from deep space. It moved from person to person like wildfire. Doctors called it the Red Plague because sick people's skin turned red before they died. Millions died in the first month. Billions more were infected. Every hospital on Earth was full. Every city was in chaos. People were scared. Children cried. Families said goodbye to each other. The world leaders met in emergency sessions. They tried everything. Every medicine. Every cure. Nothing worked. "We have 6 months," the lead scientist said. Her voice was empty of hope. 6 months before every human on Earth is dead. 8 billion people. All dying. And nobody could stop it. Then they came. The alien ships appeared in Earth's orbit on a Tuesday morning. They were beautiful. Silver and white like floating cities made of light. People on Earth looked up at the sky with fear. Were these aliens here to help? Or to finish what the plague had started? A message came through every radio, every television, every computer on the planet. "People of Earth, we are the Valorians. We detected your distress signals. We have the cure for your plague. We wish to help you." The world held its breath. Within 1 week, Valorian medical teams were on every continent. Within 1 month, the plague was gone. Not a single human died after the Valorians arrived. 8 billion lives saved. In the United Nations building, the leaders of Earth met with the Valorian Council leader. His name was Elder Theron. He was tall with golden skin and kind eyes that seemed very old and very wise. The president of the United Earth government stood up. His voice shook with emotion. "Elder Theron, you saved our entire species. We owe you everything. How can we ever repay this debt?" Theron smiled gently. "You owe us nothing. We help because it is right. Because life is precious." "No," the president said firmly. "Humanity does not forget. We do not leave debts unpaid. Please, there must be something we can do." Theron was quiet for a long moment. Then he said, "Perhaps there is one thing. Our people believe in the bonds of friendship. One day, perhaps many years from now, we may face a crisis. If that day comes and we call on Earth for help, will you answer?" Every human leader in that room stood up at once. "We will answer," the president said. "We swear it. When you call, we will come. No matter what. No matter where. This is humanity's sacred promise." Theron nodded. "Then we are not just allies. We are friends." The Valorians left Earth peacefully. They asked for no payment, no tribute, no territory, just a promise. A promise that humanity would remember for 200 years. Present-day Valorian homeworld. The council chamber was filled with smoke and panic. Warning sirens screamed through the air. Red emergency lights flashed on every wall. Elder Morian, the current Valorian leader, stared at the tactical display with horror. His blue hands gripped the edge of the table so hard they shook. "How many ships?" he asked. 500, Elder," the military commander replied. His voice was defeated. "The Kryn Empire brought 500 warships. We only have 120 ships. We're losing badly." On the display, red enemy ships surrounded the green dots of the Valorian fleet. One by one, the green dots disappeared. Council member Sarah was crying. "We're a peaceful people. We have scientists, healers, teachers. We don't have warriors. We can't fight an empire." "Our colonies are being evacuated," another council member said. "But there's nowhere safe to go. When they finish with our military, they'll attack our cities. Billions will die." The chamber fell silent. Everyone knew the truth. They were going to lose. The Kryn Empire wanted their resources, their technology, their worlds. And the Valorians had no way to stop them. Morian closed his eyes. He thought about his children, his grandchildren, all the innocent lives that would be lost. Then he remembered something. A story from 2 centuries ago. A story about a plague and a promise. "The humans," he whispered. "What?" Sarah looked at him. "The humans," Morian said louder. 200 years ago, we saved them from extinction. They made a promise. They said if we ever needed help, they would answer." The military commander shook his head. "Elder, that was 200 years ago. The humans we saved were weak and dying. Even if they remember the promise, they probably don't have the strength to help us against the Kryn Empire." "But they promised," Morian said. He walked to the communications console. "Send a message to Earth. Tell them we are calling in the dead. Tell them we need help." "Elder, even if they come, what can they do? The Kryn have 500 warships." Morian pressed the button. The message was sent. "They made a sacred promise," he said quietly. "Humans keep their promises. I have to believe that." Earth United Space Command Headquarters. Admiral Marcus Jackson was drinking coffee when the alarm sounded. Admiral? Lieutenant Park ran into his office. Urgent priority message. It's from the Valerian homeworld. Jackson's heart jumped. The Valorians. The species that saved humanity from the Red Plague. They never asked for anything in 200 years. Until now. He read the message on the screen. Emergency distress call. Valorian homeworld under attack. Kryn Empire, 500 warships. We are losing. Remember your promise. We need you. Please help. Jackson stared at the message for 3 seconds. Then he stood up fast. Lieutenant, send emergency code to all fleet commanders. Full mobilization. Every ship. Every crew. We leave in 4 hours. Sir, the Kryn Empire is a major power. How many ships should we send? Jackson's eyes were cold and hard. All of them. All of them, sir? That's 300 warships, Jackson said. We send everything. The Valorians saved 8 billion human lives. We will not let them die. Across Earth, massive orbital shipyards came to life. Lights powered on. Engines roared. Weapons systems activated. The human war fleet began to wake up. 300 ships. The largest military force Earth had ever assembled. Ships that most of the galaxy had never seen. Technology that most species didn't know existed. For 200 years, humanity had been preparing. Building. Training. Getting stronger. The galaxy thought humans were still the weak species the Valorians had saved. The galaxy was about to learn the truth. The orbital shipyards above Earth looked like sleeping giants waking up. One by one, massive hangar doors opened. Inside each hangar, a warship waited. These were not exploration ships. These were not cargo vessels. These were weapons. Pure and simple. Admiral Marcus Jackson stood on the bridge of the flagship, the UES Retribution. Through the window, he watched the fleet assemble. 300 ships. All dark gray with red running lights. They looked like hunters ready for war. Admiral, all ships report ready, said Captain Maria Santos. She was young but sharp. Her family had survived the Red Plague 200 years ago. She knew what humanity owed. Good, Jackson said. How long until we reach Valerian space? At maximum speed, 16 hours, sir. Jackson's jaw tightened. The Valorians have maybe 12 hours before they're completely destroyed. We'll be 4 hours too late. Sir, if we push the engines beyond safety limits? Do it, Jackson ordered. I don't care if we burn out every engine in the fleet. We made a promise. We will keep it. Behind them, the door opened. A man in combat armor walked in. General Chin, commander of Earth's Special Forces. His face was scarred from old battles. His eyes were cold and calculating. Admiral, Chin said. My soldiers are ready. All 50,000 of them. If we need ground combat, we're prepared. Jackson nodded. Let's hope it doesn't come to that. But knowing the Kryn Empire, they don't just destroy ships. They destroy everything. Then we'll stop them, Chin said simply. The Valorians saved us. Now we save them. It's that simple. In the Fleet Command Center, young officers worked at their stations. One of them, Lieutenant Tom Harrison, looked nervous. Captain Santos, he said quietly. Is it true? About the Red Plague. Maria looked at him. What have you heard? That 200 years ago, every human was dying. That aliens called Valorians came and saved us. That without them, none of us would exist. Maria nodded slowly. It's all true. My great-great-great-grandmother was dying from the plague. 6 years old. The Valorians cured her. If they hadn't come, she would have died. I wouldn't exist. You wouldn't exist. None of us would. So we really owe them everything, Tom said. Yes, Maria replied. And today we pay that debt. Jackson walked to his private office behind the bridge. He activated a secure console and pulled up historical files. Earth, post-plague era. He read the reports from 200 years ago. After the Valorians left, Earth's leaders had made a decision. A unanimous decision across every nation, every government, every people. Never again would humanity be helpless. Never again would they wait for death with no way to fight back. Never again would they depend completely on the mercy of others. The entire planet united with one goal, become strong. Strong enough to protect themselves. Strong enough to help others the way the Valorians helped them. Every nation poured resources into space technology, into weapons research, into military training. Earth built a fleet that could defend against any threat. But they did something else too. Something clever. They kept it secret. Earth stayed quiet. Stayed peaceful. Traded with other species but never showed military strength. Let the galaxy think humans were still the weak species that needed saving. Jackson smiled grimly. The galaxy was about to learn the truth. He pulled up another file. Intelligence reports on the Kryn Empire. The Kryn were conquerors. They had destroyed 12 species in the last century. They took what they wanted. Killed whoever resisted. They were feared across multiple sectors of space. Their fleet was powerful. 500 warships. Advanced weapons. Brutal tactics. On paper they looked unbeatable. But Jackson had read their battle records. He saw their patterns. Their strategies. Their weaknesses. The Kryn were used to fighting peaceful species. Species that ran away or surrendered quickly. They had never fought a military power equal to their own. They had definitely never fought humans. Admiral, Maria's voice came through the speaker. All ships report ready for faster-than-light jump. Jackson closed the files. He walked back to the bridge. The 300 ships were in perfect formation. Thousands of red lights glowed against the darkness of space. It looked like the eyes of predators staring into the void. This is Admiral Jackson to all ships, he said into the fleet-wide channel. In a few minutes we jump to Valerian space. When we arrive we will face the Kryn Empire. 500 of their ships against our 300. They think those odds favor them. He paused. They're wrong. The Kryn have numbers. We have something better. We have purpose. We have honor. We have a debt to repay. 200 years ago the Valorians gave us life. Today we give them victory. Today the galaxy learns what happens when you threaten Earth's friends. Today we show everyone who we really are. Across the fleet, thousands of human soldiers and officers listened. Many had tears in their eyes. This wasn't just a military mission. This was sacred. This was honor. This was humanity keeping its word. All ships, Jackson said. Engage faster-than-light drives. Target, Valerian homeworld. Let's go save our friends. 300 ships activated their engines simultaneously. Space twisted. Reality bent. Light stretched. And then they were gone. Valerian homeworld 12 hours before total defeat. Elder Morian sat in the burning council chamber. Half the building was destroyed. Fires burned everywhere. The Kryn bombardment had reached the capital city. Elder, his aide said weakly. The fleet is down to 40 ships. The Kryn are preparing for final assault. We have maybe 12 hours. Did Earth respond to our message? Morian asked. No, Elder. No response. Morian felt his heart sink. Both of them. Perhaps he had been foolish. Perhaps humans had forgotten. Perhaps the promise meant nothing after 200 years. Evacuate the children, he said quietly. Get them to the underground shelters. Maybe some will survive. Sarah touched his shoulder. You did everything you could, Morian. If the humans don't come, it's not your fault. I believed in them, Morian whispered. I believed humans keep their promises. Then suddenly, every alarm in the building screamed at once. What now? Morian shouted. A technician ran into the room. His face was shocked, confused, maybe hopeful. Elder, new contacts. Massive fleet just appeared at the edge of our system. The Kryn sent more ships? Sarah asked with despair. No, the technician said. Different ships. Different design. The computer is identifying them now. The main screen activated. It showed space near their planet. And there, dropping out of faster-than-light travel, were ships. So many ships. The computer finished its analysis. Fleet identification, Earth origin. Species human. Ship count, 300. Threat assessment, unknown. Morian stood up slowly. His legs shook. 300 ships, he whispered. They sent 300 ships. But Elder, Sarah said. 200 years ago humans barely had any ships. They were dying. How do they have 300 warships? Morian started to laugh. And cry. At the same time. They remembered, he said. They kept their promise. They came. The communication console beeped. A message from the human fleet. A voice strong and clear. Valerian homeworld, this is Admiral Jackson of the United Earth Fleet. We received your call. We're here to repay our debt. Hold on. The cavalry has arrived. Commander Vex of the Kryn Empire stood on the bridge of his flagship, the Dark Fong. He watched the Valerian homeworld burn on his main screen. Smoke rose from a dozen cities. Fire spread across the continents. Beautiful, he said with his cruel smile. His red eyes glowed with satisfaction. How many Valerian ships remain? 38, Commander, his tactical officer replied. They're barely holding together. One more assault and they're finished. Vex laughed. It was a cold, harsh sound. The Valorians thought they were safe because they were peaceful. They thought kindness would protect them. Fools. In this galaxy, only the strong survive. Around him, his officers celebrated. They had already won. The Valorian fleet was destroyed. Their defenses were broken. Soon, every Valorian world would belong to the Kryn Empire. Commander, the weapons officer said. Should we begin bombardment of the civilian cities? Not yet, Vex replied. Let them suffer a little longer. Let them know true fear before. Every alarm on the bridge screamed at once. Red lights flashed. Warning sounds filled the air. Officers jumped to their stations. What's happening? Vex shouted. The sensor officer's hands moved quickly across his console. His face went pale. Commander, new contacts. Massive energy signatures. Multiple ships just appeared at system edge. How many ships? The officer checked again. And again. He couldn't believe his own readings. 300 ships, Commander. 300 unknown vessels just dropped out of faster-than-light travel. The bridge went silent. 300. Vex repeated slowly. That's impossible. The Valorians don't have reinforcements. We destroyed their allies' fleets weeks ago. Who could send 300 ships? Computer is analyzing now, Commander. On the main screen, the new fleet appeared. The ships were dark gray, almost black. They had sharp, angular designs. Red lights glowed along their hulls like the eyes of hunting beasts. They looked nothing like any ships in the Kryn database. They looked dangerous. Analysis complete, the sensor officer said. His voice was uncertain. Computer identifies them as Earth ships. Species, human. Vex stared at the screen. Humans? Did you say humans? Yes, Commander. Vex started laughing. His officers looked confused, but then they started laughing too. Humans? Vex repeated. The weak species the Valorians saved from a plague 200 years ago? Those humans. He walked to the database console and pulled up the file on Earth. Information appeared on the screen. Species, human. Homeworld, Earth. Status, recovering from near-extinction event. Military strength, minimal. Threat level, low. Notes, species saved by Valorians 200 years ago. Peaceful. Avoid conflict. Not a military concern. This is their great rescue? Vex said between laughs. The Valorians called the humans? The species they saved because they were dying? His second-in-command, Officer Drax, looked at the human ships on the screen. Commander, the database is 200 years old. Perhaps. Perhaps nothing. Vex snapped. They were dying. Helpless. The Valorians felt sorry for them. And now they think they can fight us? We have 500 warships. They bring 300 ships of a species that couldn't even save themselves? The bridge crew laughed again. The tension broke. This wasn't a threat. This was entertainment. Commander, the communications officer said. The human fleet is broadcasting a message. Should I play it? Yes, Vex said, still smiling. Let's hear what these weak humans have to say. A voice came through the speakers. It was calm, strong, confident. Kryn Fleet, this is Admiral Marcus Jackson of the United Earth Fleet. You are attacking our allies. You have destroyed Valorian ships and cities. You have killed innocent people. This ends now. Power down your weapons and prepare to be escorted out of Valorian space. This is your only warning. Silence filled the bridge. Then Vex burst out laughing again. Did you hear that? They're warning us. They think 300 ships can make us leave. Drax wasn't laughing anymore. He was looking at the sensor data. Commander, these human ships, their energy readings are very high. Higher than our ships. And their formation. I don't care about their formation. Vex shouted. They're humans. Weak, pathetic humans. We are the Kryn Empire. We have conquered 12 species. We don't run from anyone. He activated the fleet-wide channel. All ships, new targets acquired. Destroy the human fleet. Show them what happens when weak species challenge the strong. 463 Kryn warships turned toward the human fleet. Their weapons charged. Their engines roared. On the UES Retribution, Admiral Jackson watched the Kryn fleet turn toward them. They're not retreating, sir, Captain Santos said. I didn't think they would, Jackson replied. Bullies never back down until you hit them. All ships report ready for combat, Admiral. Weapons charged. Shields at maximum. Jackson looked at the tactical display. 463 Kryn ships against his 300. On paper, the Kryn had the advantage. On paper. Captain Santos, Jackson said quietly. What did your great-great-great-grandmother tell your family about the Red Plague? Santos looked surprised by the question. She said it was the darkest time in human history. She said we learned that we can never be helpless again. That we must always be strong enough to protect ourselves and those we care about. Exactly, Jackson nodded. For 200 years we prepared. We built. We trained. We stayed quiet. And now the galaxy will see what Earth has become. He activated the fleet channel. All ships, this is Jackson. The Kryn refuse to leave. They think we're weak. They think numbers win battles. Let's educate them. Battle Formation Omega. Activate all weapons systems. Rules of engagement. Show no mercy to those who show no mercy to innocents. 300 human ships moved into attack formation. It was beautiful and terrifying at the same time. Perfect coordination. Perfect spacing. Like a machine built for one purpose. Admiral, Santos said. The Kryn are opening fire. Incoming missiles and plasma beams. Jackson watched the tactical display. Thousands of Kryn weapons fired at once. It looked like a red wave of death rushing toward the human fleet. Steady, Jackson said calmly. Hold position. Sir, impact in 10 seconds. Wait for it, Jackson said. The Kryn weapons got closer. 5 seconds. 3 seconds. Now, Jackson said quietly. Activate defense grid. The human ships released thousands of small drones. The drones formed a wall between the fleet and the incoming fire. Advanced electronic warfare systems activated. Half the Kryn missiles lost their targets and flew off into empty space. The other half hit the drone wall and exploded harmlessly. The plasma beams scattered in the electromagnetic field the drones created. Not a single human ship was hit. On the dark Fong, Vex stared at his screen in shock. That's impossible. We fired everything. How did they? Commander, the tactical officer shouted. The human ships are returning fire. 300 human warships fired their weapons. And the Kryn Empire learned that sometimes, the species you underestimate are the most dangerous of all. The human weapons fired. They weren't like normal ship weapons. They didn't use plasma or lasers like most species. These were kinetic accelerators. Magnetic rails that launched metal projectiles at incredible speeds. The projectiles moved so fast they were invisible. Just blurs in space. Then they hit. 3 Kryn ships exploded in the first second. Their shields couldn't stop the kinetic rounds. The metal punched straight through armor like paper. 5 more ships exploded. Then 10 more. Then 20. Evasive maneuvers. Commander Vex screamed. All ships, scatter formation. But the human weapons kept firing. Precise. Calculated. Deadly. The Kryn fleet tried to dodge. Some ships moved left. Some moved right. Some dove down. It didn't matter. The human targeting systems tracked every movement. Every ship. Every dodge. The computers calculated trajectories faster than any Kryn pilot could react. More explosions lit up space. Return fire. Vex shouted. All weapons. Destroy them. The Kryn fleet fired again. This time they aimed carefully. Concentrated fire on individual human ships. The human ships didn't dodge. They charged forward. They're insane. Drax shouted. They're flying right at us. The human fleet split into groups. Each group moved with perfect coordination. They didn't fight like normal ships. They fought like wolves hunting prey. One group of 30 human ships dove under the Kryn formation. Another group went high. A third group went straight through the middle. The Kryn formation broke apart in confusion. Where are they going? A Kryn captain shouted over the communications. I can't track them all. Focus fire on. Vex started to order. An explosion cut him off. 20 Kryn ships erupted in flames simultaneously. The human ships that had gone underneath the formation had fired upward. Perfect shots into the Kryn ships' weakest points, their engine cores. Commander, the tactical officer yelled. We've lost 40 ships. In 2 minutes we've lost 40 ships. Vex felt fear for the first time. Real fear. How are they so fast? How are their weapons so powerful? On the UES Retribution, Admiral Jackson watched the battle calmly. Captain Santos, damage report on our fleet. 0 damage, sir. The Kryn weapons can't penetrate our shields. Our technology is too advanced. Jackson nodded. 200 years of preparation. 200 years of building, researching, advancing. While the galaxy thought humans were weak, Earth had been getting stronger. Much stronger. All ships, Jackson ordered. Pattern Delta 7. cut through their center formation, destroy their command ships. The human fleet moved like a single organism. They weaved between Kryn ships, firing with devastating accuracy. Every shot hit. Every shot killed. General Chen's voice came over the command channel. "Admiral, this is almost too easy. The Kryn have numbers but no coordination. No real tactics. They're used to fighting peaceful species that run away. Then let's teach them what happens when they fight a species that doesn't run," Jackson replied. On the dark Fong, chaos ruled the bridge. Alarms screamed. Officers shouted. Screens showed ship after ship dying. 80 ships destroyed, the tactical officer reported. His voice was breaking. "Commander, we're losing too fast." Vex stared at the tactical display. The human ships moved through his fleet like sharks through a school of fish. Every movement was precise. Every attack was lethal. "This doesn't make sense," he whispered. 200 years ago they were dying. How did they become this? Drax pulled up historical data on his console. "Commander, look at this. After the Valorians saved them, every human nation united. They spent 200 years focused on one goal: never be helpless again. So they built a military," Vex said. "No," Drax replied. "They built the military. They took every resource, every mind, every effort and poured it into becoming strong. While we were conquering weak species, they were preparing for real war." Another explosion rocked the ship. A human round had hit their port shields. "Shields at 60%, an officer shouted. "Return fire on that human ship," Vex ordered. 10 Kryn ships focused all their weapons on one human vessel. Plasma beams, missiles, kinetic rounds, everything they had. The human ship took the hits. Its shields glowed bright white from the energy. For a moment, it looked like the human ship would break. Then it didn't. The shields held. The human ship turned toward the 10 Kryn vessels that had fired at it. And it fired back. One shot. One incredibly powerful shot. The kinetic round went through the first Kryn ship. Then the second. Then the third. One round punched through 3 ships before it finally stopped. All 3 ships exploded. "Did you see that?" a Kryn officer screamed. "One shot destroyed 3 ships. What kind of weapons are those?" "The kind built by a species that refuses to be victims," Jackson said quietly on his bridge. He was watching his screen, but his thoughts were 200 years in the past. He thought about the 8 billion humans who had been dying. About the children crying in hospitals. About the mothers and fathers who said goodbye to their families. The Valorians had saved them all. And now the Kryn Empire had attacked those saviors. They had destroyed Valerian ships. Killed Valerian people. Burned Valerian cities. "No mercy," Jackson said coldly. "They showed no mercy to our friends. We show no mercy to them." The battle continued. But it wasn't really a battle anymore. It was a massacre. 15 minutes passed. 150 Kryn ships destroyed. 20 minutes passed. 200 Kryn ships destroyed. 25 minutes passed. 250 Kryn ships destroyed. The Kryn Empire was learning a terrible lesson. Numbers don't win battles. Technology wins. Tactics win. Determination wins. And humanity had all 3. "Commander," the sensor officer on the dark Fong shouted. "The fleet is breaking. Ships are retreating without orders." Vex looked at his screen. He saw Kryn captains panicking, fleeing, running away. His mighty empire. His feared warriors. Running from humans. All ships. Vex broadcast. "Reform the line. We still have 300 ships. We can still." "Commander," Drax said quietly, "look at our damage reports. Half our remaining ships are barely functional. We've lost weapons, shields, engines. And the humans? They haven't lost a single ship." Vex looked at the data. Drax was right. Not one human ship destroyed. Some had damage. But all 300 were still fighting. It was impossible. But it was happening. "Retreat," Vex whispered. "What?" Drax couldn't believe it. "Retreat," Vex screamed. "All ships full retreat. Get us out of this system." The Kryn fleet turned and ran. 300 warships fleeing from the battle. Engines burning at maximum as they tried to escape. On the Retribution, Santos said, "Admiral, the Kryn are retreating. Should we let them go?" Jackson thought about the Valerian cities burning below. About the innocent people killed. About the 38 remaining Valerian ships, all that was left of their fleet. He thought about Elder Theron's kind eyes 200 years ago. About the promise humanity made. "No," Jackson said. His voice was ice. "They came here to destroy. They burned cities. Killed innocents. They hurt our friends. He activated the fleet channel. All ships pursue the enemy. No. Retreat. No escape. Today the galaxy learns what happens when you attack Earth's allies. Today we send a message written in fire and blood. Hunt them down. Every single ship. The human fleet accelerated. They chased the fleeing Kryn like wolves chasing wounded deer. The hunt had begun. The Kryn fleet ran. 300 warships, once proud and feared, now fled like scared animals. Their engines burned at maximum power. Some ships were damaged and moved slowly. Others left them behind in their panic to escape. Commander Vex watched his fleet fall apart. Faster. We need to reach the jump point. The jump point was at the edge of the system. Once there they could escape to faster-than-light travel. They could get away from the humans. They just needed to reach it. Distance to jump point? Vex demanded. 12 minutes, Commander, the navigator said. His voice shook with fear. And the humans? They're right behind us. They're faster than our ships. Vex looked at his rear sensors. The 300 human ships were gaining. Getting closer. Like predators closing in for the kill. All ships, emergency power to engines. Divert power from weapons, shields, everything. Just get us to the jump point. On the UES Retribution, Captain Santos watched the fleeing Kryn. Admiral, they're running scared. They've diverted all power to engines. Good, Jackson said coldly. That means they can't fight back. Match their speed. Stay right behind them. Let them feel the fear. Sir, shouldn't we just destroy them now? Jackson shook his head. No. They need to understand. They need to feel what the Valorians felt. Terror. Helplessness. The knowledge that death is coming and they can't stop it. General Chen's voice came over the channel. Admiral, this is psychological warfare. We're breaking their spirit. Exactly, Jackson replied. The Kryn Empire has terrorized peaceful species for a century. Today they learn what real terror feels like. The human fleet stayed exactly 3 kilometers behind the Kryn ships. Close enough to be a constant threat. Close enough to shoot at any moment. But not shooting. Just following. Just waiting. It was more terrifying than any battle. On a Kryn cargo ship, Captain Rax looked at his screen with horror. They're toying with us. They could destroy us right now, but they're not. They're just following. His crew was panicking. Some were crying. Others prayed to old Kryn gods. All of them knew they were going to die. Captain, should we surrender? His first officer asked. To what? Rax replied. We attacked their allies. We killed innocents. You think they'll show mercy? An explosion lit up space ahead of them. One of the damaged Kryn ships had engine failure. It stopped moving. Immediately, 3 human ships broke formation. They approached the stopped Kryn vessel. Rax and his crew watched in horror. The human ships didn't fire missiles. Didn't use torpedoes. Instead they moved in close. Very close. And fired their kinetic weapons at point-blank range. The Kryn ship shattered into pieces. Metal and fire scattered across space. Then the 3 human ships returned to formation. They continued the chase as if nothing happened. They're hunting us, Rax whispered. Like animals. One by one. Across the galaxy, other species were watching the battle. Their long-range sensors had detected the massive fight. Now they watched the pursuit in real time. In the Galactic Council observation room, ambassadors from 50 species stared at their screens in shock. The Kryn are running, Ambassador Tesh said. He was from a peaceful species the Kryn had threatened many times. I've never seen the Kryn run from anyone. Those human ships, another ambassador said. What kind of weapons do they have? The Kryn can't even damage them. Ambassador Yaira pulled up historical data. It says here humans were saved from extinction 200 years ago. They were weak. Dying. How did they become this? On screen, another Kryn ship fell behind. The human fleet led it separate from the group. Then 5 human ships surrounded it. The Kryn ship tried to fight. It fired everything it had. The human shields absorbed the damage easily. Then the human ships returned fire. The Kryn vessel exploded. They're not just winning, Ambassador Tesh said quietly. They're sending a message. This is what happens when you attack their friends. 8 minutes into the pursuit. 70 Kryn ships destroyed. 10 minutes into the pursuit. 120 Kryn ships destroyed. The Kryn fleet was dying. Ship by ship. Minute by minute. On the dark Fong, Vex was losing his mind. How much longer to the jump point? 2 minutes, Commander. Vex looked at his remaining fleet. Only 180 ships left. Less than half what they started with. and the humans hadn't lost a single vessel. "We're almost there," he told himself. "Just 2 more minutes. We can make it." But the human fleet suddenly accelerated. They closed the distance. Now they were only 1 kilometer behind. "They're speeding up," the navigator shouted. "So do we," Vex screamed. "Everything to engines." The dark fong pushed its engines beyond safe limits. Metal groaned. Systems overheated. But they went faster. 1 minute to the jump point. 30 seconds. "We're going to make it," Drax said. But then the humans opened fire. Not at the dark fong. At the ships around it. At the smaller vessels. At the damaged ships barely holding together. In 15 seconds, 40 Kryn ships exploded. The human targeting was perfect. They chose the weakest ships. The ones that would die fastest. Vex's fleet entered the jump point. Only 140 ships remained. "Activate faster-than-light drives," Vex ordered. "Get us out of here." Space began to twist. The jump point activated. The Kryn ships started to disappear into faster-than-light travel. But the human fleet didn't stop. They entered the jump point too. They followed the Kryn into faster-than-light space. "They're following us," Drax shouted in disbelief. "They're pursuing us through FTL travel." Vex felt his hope die. Even in faster-than-light travel, the humans wouldn't stop. This wasn't a battle. This was an execution. The chase continued through the void between stars. The Kryn ships fled toward their empire's border. The human fleet followed relentlessly. 20 more Kryn ships were destroyed. Their engines couldn't handle the stress of maximum FTL speed. They broke down and the humans finished them off. Finally, 1 Kryn ship broke formation. It was a frigate called the Swift Death. Its captain, a young officer named Kren, made a decision. He dropped out of FTL travel. He powered down all weapons. His crew stared at him. "Captain, what are you doing?" "Surrendering," Kren said. "I won't run anymore. I won't die running. Maybe if we surrender, they'll show mercy." The Swift Death broadcast on all frequencies. "Human fleet, this is Kryn vessel Swift Death. We surrender. We power down all weapons. We request mercy. Please. We surrender." The message repeated. Over and over. The human fleet stopped. 1 ship, a destroyer called the UES Vengeance, approached the Swift Death. On the Swift Death's bridge, Kren held his breath. Maybe they'll listen. Maybe. Admiral Jackson's voice came through the speakers. It was cold. Empty of emotion. "You came to Valerian space with 500 ships. You destroyed their fleet. You killed their people. You burned their cities. You showed no mercy to innocents. And now you ask for mercy?" Kren felt tears in his eyes. "Please. We were following orders. We." The Valorians were following their nature too. Being peaceful. Being kind. You destroyed them anyway. Today you learn a simple truth. When you show no mercy, you receive no mercy. The UES Vengeance fired. The Swift Death exploded in a ball of fire. The message was clear. No surrender. No mercy. No escape. News of the battle spread across the galaxy at light speed. Every species heard the story. The Kryn Empire, feared for a century, had attacked the Valorians. The humans had responded. 500 Kryn ships destroyed. 0 human losses. The chase had lasted 2 hours. When it finally ended, not a single Kryn ship survived. The human fleet had hunted them all. In governments across the galaxy, leaders looked at star maps. They looked at the location of Earth. They asked their military advisors the same question. Could we fight them? Could we win? Every advisor gave the same answer, no. A new power had risen in the galaxy. A species everyone thought was weak. A species that had been dying 200 years ago. They weren't weak anymore. They were apex predators. And the entire galaxy had just learned to fear them. The Galactic Council Chamber was the most important place in known space. It was where 50 different species met to discuss peace, trade, and law. The chamber was beautiful. A massive dome made of crystal that showed the stars above. But today the stars were forgotten. Every ambassador stared at the central hologram display with expressions of shock and horror. The display showed the battle. All of it. From the moment the human fleet arrived to the final Kryn ship being destroyed. High Chancellor Mora, a wise old being with silver skin and 4 eyes, replayed the footage for the 3rd time. 500 Kryn warships, she said slowly. Destroyed by 300 human vessels. In less than 3 hours. With 0 human losses. The chamber was silent. No one knew what to say. Ambassador Tesh from the Pelian species stood up. His voice shook. High Chancellor, the Kryn Empire has conquered 12 species in the last century. They are one of the strongest military powers in this sector. And the humans crushed them like insects. Not just crushed, added Ambassador Yaira. She was from a species that valued scholarly knowledge. Look at this footage carefully. The humans didn't just win. They dominated. Every movement was calculated. Every shot was perfect. This wasn't luck. This was absolute superiority. Chancellor Mora played another section of the footage. It showed a human ship taking fire from 10 Kryn vessels. The human shields held easily. Then one human shot destroyed 3 Kryn ships. Their technology is far beyond ours, Mora said quietly. Their weapons, their shields, their tactics. Everything is more advanced. Ambassador Dren, a large being covered in scales, slammed his fist on his table. How is this possible? 200 years ago, humans were dying from a plague. The Valorians saved them because they were weak. That's what I thought too, said Ambassador Kels. He was the council's military advisor. So I investigated. Look at this. He activated his personal console. Data appeared on the main display. Earth, post-plague reconstruction. The information showed Earth's history after the Valorians saved them. Every detail of the last 200 years. After the plague ended, Kels explained, every human nation united. Not just for peace. For a single purpose, never be helpless again. They took every resource and focused on military development. But we've traded with humans, Ambassador Tesh said. We visited Earth. They seemed peaceful. Friendly. Not military at all. Exactly, Kels replied. That was intentional. They stayed quiet. Acted peaceful. Traded normally. But the entire time they were building. Creating weapons. Training soldiers. Advancing their technology. They hid their strength from everyone. More data appeared. Ship production numbers. Weapon research. Military academies. For 200 years, humanity had been preparing for war. They learned from almost dying, Mora said. They learned to be strong. And they learned to hide that strength until they needed it. Ambassador Yaira looked scared. So what are they now? Are they conquerors? Will they expand like the Kryn did? I don't think so, Kel said. He played the final part of the battle footage. It showed Admiral Jackson's message to the Kryn about mercy. About how attacking innocent Valorians had consequences. They didn't attack first, Kels continued. The Valorians called for help. The humans answered. They could have ignored the call. They could have stayed hidden. But they came to save their friends. So they're protectors? Dren asked. Not conquerors? Maybe both, Mora said quietly. Protectors to their friends. Destroyers to their enemies. The question is, which one will we be? The council chamber filled with worried whispers. Every species present was thinking the same thing. Humanity was now the most powerful military force they had encountered. More powerful than the Kryn. Maybe more powerful than any species in known space. What did that mean for the galaxy? 3 days later, various locations across the galaxy. On the planet Helios 7, President Vorn called an emergency military meeting. His top generals gathered around a war table. Can we defend ourselves if humans attack us? Vorn asked. General Cax looked at the battle data from Valerian space. No, sir. We have 200 warships. Good ships. But compared to human technology? We would lose. Badly. Then what do we do? Hope we never make them angry, sir. On the Thurian homeworld, the Council of Elders watched footage of the battle over and over. Elder Zahn spoke first. For 50 years we have had border disputes with the Kryn Empire. They threatened us. Demanded territory. We gave them land to avoid war. And now the Kryn are broken, Elder Mara said. The humans destroyed them in hours. Should we contact Earth? Asked Elder Zahn. Request an alliance? And if they say no? Mara replied. What if they see us as weak? What if they take what the Kryn wanted to take? The council fell silent. Fear made decisions difficult. On a pirate station in deep space, crime lords gathered. They watched the battle footage with growing concern. The humans hunt, said Captain Reyes, leader of the Red Star Pirates. Did you see how they chased the Kryn? They didn't just defeat them. They eliminated them completely. What does this mean for us? Asked another pirate leader. Reyes closed the footage. It means we stay far away from Earth. We stay far away from their allies. We stay far away from anyone they might protect. One wrong move and we'll end up like the Kryn. 500 ships destroyed, another pirate whispered. All of them. The pirate lords looked at each other. For the first time in their criminal careers they felt real fear. Back at the Galactic Council, Chancellor Mora had been reading reports for 3 days. Reports from governments, from military advisors, from intelligence agencies, all saying the same thing. Humanity was now the dominant power in their sector of space. She called the council back to session. I have received 237 communications in 3 days, she announced. Most are from peaceful species asking the same question: will humans attack? 23 are from aggressive species asking, can we defeat humans? And 5 are from species asking, how do we become allies with Earth? What do we tell them? Ambassador Tesh asked. The truth, Mora said. We don't know. Humans are unknown. We thought they were weak. We were wrong. Now we must learn who they really are. Ambassador Kell stood up. High Chancellor, I suggest we send an official delegation to Earth. Open formal relations. Learn their intentions. And if their intentions are conquest? Dren asked. Then we're already too late to stop them, Kells replied honestly. But I don't think that's what they want. They came to help the Valorians. They repaid a debt. That shows honor. Shows loyalty. Maybe they're not conquerors. Maybe they're exactly what we need. Or maybe, Yaira said quietly, they're what we should fear most. A species so powerful they can destroy empires. A species so patient they hid their strength for 200 years. A species that shows no mercy to enemies. Mora looked at all the ambassadors. Tomorrow I will send a delegation to Earth. We will learn the truth. Until then, I am issuing one order to all member species of this council. She paused. Let the weight of her words settle. Do not threaten Earth. Do not threaten their allies. Do not give them a reason to see you as an enemy. Because if you do, we have all seen what happens. The council members nodded. They had all seen the footage. They had all seen 500 Kryn ships become space debris. The message was clear. A new power had risen in the galaxy. A power born from near death. Forged in survival. Hidden in patience. And the entire galaxy would never forget the day humanity showed its true face. The face of a species that keeps its promises. The face of a species that protects its friends. The face of a species you never, ever want as your enemy. The human fleet returned to Valerian space. 300 warships, scarred from battle but victorious, flew toward the homeworld. Below them the planet was still smoking. Cities were damaged. Forests were burned. But the people were alive. Admiral Jackson stood on the bridge of the UES Retribution. He looked at the planet below. Captain Santos, damage report on the Valerian homeworld. Santos checked her console. Significant structural damage to cities. Multiple fires still burning. But civilian casualties were minimized. Most people made it to shelters. They're alive because we came in time. Jackson nodded slowly. Contact the Valerian government. Tell them the threat is eliminated. They're safe now. On the surface, Elder Morian stood in what remained of the council chamber. Half the building was destroyed, but they had cleaned up one room. Made it presentable. When the message came from the human fleet, Morian felt emotions he couldn't name. Relief. Gratitude. Shame for ever doubting them. They're requesting permission to land, his aide said. A small delegation. Admiral Jackson wants to speak with you. Tell them yes, Morian said. His voice was thick with emotion. Tell them they are welcome. Always welcome. The human shuttle landed in the capital city's main plaza. Thousands of Valorians had gathered. They stood at a distance, uncertain but curious. The shuttle door opened. Admiral Jackson stepped out first. Then Captain Santos. Then General Chin. 3 humans in military uniforms. They looked tired. Their armor was scratched from battle. But they stood tall and proud. Elder Morian walked forward. His legs were shaky. Sarah walked beside him, supporting him. The 2 groups met in the center of the plaza. For a moment no one spoke. The Valerian elder and the human admiral just looked at each other. Then Morian did something unexpected. He knelt down. Placed his hand over his heart. It was the Valerian gesture of deepest respect and gratitude. You came, Morian said. His voice broke. We called and you came. You saved us. Just as we once saved you. Jackson stepped forward. He gently helped Morian stand up. You don't kneel to us, Elder. We owe you everything. 200 years ago your people gave us life. Today we return the favor. The debt is paid. No, Morian said. Tears ran down his blue face. The debt can never be fully paid. You gave us more than victory. You gave us hope. You showed us that in a dark galaxy, there are still those who keep their promises. A small Valerian child broke free from her mother's arms. It was a little girl, maybe 6 years old. She ran toward the humans. No, her mother screamed, afraid. But the child didn't stop. She ran right up to Admiral Jackson. She looked up at him with big, innocent eyes. "Thank you for saving my papa," she said. "He's a soldier. He was in the fleet. The Kryn hurt his ship, but you saved him." Jackson knelt down to her level. His hard face softened. "What's your name?" "Lyra," the girl said. "Well, Lyra, your papa is a brave soldier. You should be proud of him." "I am," Lyra said. Then she hugged Jackson. Just wrapped her small arms around his neck and held on. Around the plaza, the Valerian people began to cry. They saw their children unafraid. They saw the humans being gentle, kind. These weren't monsters. These were friends. Slowly, more Valorians approached. They wanted to thank the humans, to touch them, to know they were real. "We thought you would be terrifying," Sarah said to Captain Santos. "The database said you were dangerous. From a death world. We thought you would be monsters." Santos smiled. "We are dangerous, but only to those who hurt innocents. To friends, we're loyal until death."